What's that?
Go ahead, Mr. Nelson. We're okay now.
The zoning in the area, the subject block is entirely in a business zone. The block to the northeast business zone, to the northwest business zone. So for the most part, the substantial zoning in the area would be business X zoning. Just to the outside of that would be as you go further northeast, it would be Hartwell would have the residential, Hartwell Place would have the residential C zoning. Further southwest would be the residential B zone. One of the exhibits I did hand in would include the tax map for the subject property and the zoning maps for the immediate area. The subject block, and my photographs will depict it, if we work off the radius map, surrounding the subject property would be the 5 towns rehabilitation nursing home to the southeast. And that takes much of that block to the south with a 5-story, and I provided photographs, 5-story building that, as Council mentioned earlier, was approved and constructed. It was approved in 2015. And that building, by this board, for the most part, most of you, I believe, were on the board at that time. In fact, I think it started several years earlier, and believe it or not, that was an assemblage of some parcels, and a good part of their parking field or parking fields for that use is remote from that parcel within the 200 and 300 foot radius on the northeasterly side of Franklin Place in this location in block 212. Nevertheless, that building is constructed and serves as a nursing home rehabilitation facility. That building, as I mentioned, has 5 stories plus penthouse and appendages on the roof that does exceed what is being proposed in this application. The building, as Council mentioned, has been discussed to the west, and you'll see on your radius map, it's the Bright Cedars Realty LLC. That takes the entire rear of the subject property, and that's known as 130 Irving Place, and that's a 3+ story building. The northerly to the northwest, of the subject property are improvements that include 1 and 2 story buildings. The nearest residential properties would be further northeast and further southwest, Lafayette Avenue. In fact, on Hartwell Place, it's still within the radius. Many of those properties that are residential are investment type properties, multi-use, multifamily dwellings. Nevertheless, they're part of the community. I looked at the development surrounding the subject property. The 5 towns premier rehabilitation and nursing home is in excess of 65,000 plus square feet plus basement area. 1050 Central, and that'll include on your radius map. That would include tax lots 2728, 228, 247 on Franklin Place, and 12 and 13 on Irving Place. Just give me a second. That property, as I mentioned, is 5 stories, and it's on just under an acre and a half, 1.43 acres. That has 280 units for the nursing home, plus support systems that include uh, not restaurant, but I got the senior moment. It includes support facilities, medical, you understand, right? Cafeteria, and so on within the
Kill the application.
facility. Then you have the 130 Irving Place, that's 3.5 stories, containing about this 30, let me just get this total numbers. No, sir. 130 Irving Place contains 36,774 square feet lot area. The 1050 Central, which is the rehab, contains approximately lot area 1.545 acres, 63,256 square feet. Between the two of them, plus the subject property at 33,000 plus square feet, we're in excess of 3 acres in that immediate vicinity. So what you have here, and it's a compatible use to the adjacent uses, the rehab center, the assisted living Esplanade on Irving Place, and now this would be the corporate headquarters servicing similar type uses. Under section 200 of the town ordinance, if you have 2 acres, the board can look, or the town board would look favorable if it does not impact the surrounding residential community.
I have a stupid question. If you answered, I apologize. The Esplanade, that's the one at 130 Irving Place, right?
Correct.
What is that business? Is that also a nurse?
Assisted living facility.
3.5 stories, assisted living, and I believe it has the, right, and the applicant serves that type of industry. So it's a blend of the two parcels developed to the, adjacent to the subject property. I don't believe so.
No.
We never know it down the road, but I don't believe so. So with the subject property and the surrounding adjacent properties, we have an excess of 3 acres. That would support a grant and a grant under the section 200, which allows for 4 stories and 60 feet. It's slightly lower.
It's lower.
That's a 3-story building. So with that said, and with the development in the area, we already have any negative impacts to the surrounding community. Given what the applicant is proposing, that'll be a substantial investment to the community and support local businesses and services in the community, it's a reasonable request. Now we have the overall height, I believe council mentioned was
64
60,
feet, 10 inches.
right. The building to the south, the Five Towns Rehab, if you eliminated the fourth floor, which would be the amenities for the building, we're at 45.8. With the fourth floor, it's 64.10. The building, Five Towns Rehab, is at 51.3, 51 feet. And then they have rooftop appendages that would exceed in square footage than what the applicant is proposing at 70 feet. The nearest residential community is substantially greater distance from the subject property, 1 and 2 blocks. The westerly or the southwesterly side of Irving Place includes a religious institution and school that would be further mitigating any impact to the residential community to the southwest of the subject property. The special exception for the public assembly amusement area on the fourth floor is strictly for the employees of the building, not for public use. With that said, I believe this is a reasonable application coming forward to the board. Again, the height and the stories already exist in the area. It's not going to alter or change the essential character of the neighborhood. The existing facility on the site now is 4 stories plus a basement. It's an old, dilapidated building that the former tenant relocated to which was the Five Towns facility next door, and they assembled several properties in the same block for the same community to develop what's there now. This building has got to be torn down that's existing. It provides no functional utility that's serviceable, and again, the applicant's going to invest substantial amount of money, in excess of $20 million to this location, that'll support the community and support the local businesses as well.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Aside from the Five Towns Rehab Center that you've repeated like about 7 times, is there any building that has over 3 stories?
Well, you got the
In the air, I'm talking about the area, not the Esplanade that you say is 3.5. Is there anybody that has more than, talk about the contour of the neighborhood? There isn't. And another question, Mr. Nelson, is the existing building, you say it's 4 stories, but when I'm looking at it, the picture is only 3. Is it below grade?
It's 4 levels. It is basically 3.5 stories.
Yeah, because it looks to me like
from the grade, about half of the base of the first level is above grade. So it's
that's what I thought, because
Yeah.
when I looked at it, it looked like it was 3 stories, and I was trying to see what was.
Yeah, the first level is partially below grade.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Any other questions for Mr. Nelson? Then if I
If
may,
I may, you have co-ops and condos that were developed over the years throughout the Woodmere locale. You got 141 Woodmere Boulevard, which is a 5-story apartment building. It was constructed in the early 1930s, and that's 5 stories. You have Fairfield Tutors of Hewlett at 25 Trinity Place, that's 3 stories. You have, which is that's in Hewlett. You have Extra Space Storage at 1150 Broadway. That's a substantial height. You can't tell by the stories, but it would be equal.
The storage places along the railroad tracks, it's nowhere near what you're talking about. Hewlett Tutors is nowhere near what you're talking about. And the Woodmere co-ops by the Woodmere Golf Course is nowhere near that either. I mean, it's
Not in the immediate vicinity.
and it's not it's not a commercial facility, it's living space. So it's apples and oranges to
You
me.
asked me for the number of stories of building.
Well, I'm making a point that, and I'm not trying to argue with you, I'm making a point that the only real building out of context in the neighborhood is the rehab center. Everybody else is 3
Right next
stories.
door to the subject.
That's all I'm saying,
Yes,
you know.
okay,
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
thank you.
If I may, I'll call upon Mr. Muller to provide his traffic testimony. As mentioned earlier, Mr. Muller is a transportation engineer recognized by this board on many, many occasions as a traffic and parking expert, permitted to give opinion testimony on those topics. And I would ask him to provide his findings in connection with this application in the narrative.
Name and address, Mr. Mueller.
For the record, Wayne Muller, R&M Engineering, offices at 50 Elm Street, Huntington, New York.
Mr. Mueller, since the last time you testified, before this board, have there been any changes to your credentials?
No, there have not.
Okay, Mr. Mueller, you're qualified as an expert to give your opinion testimony as it relates to traffic and parking and related matters.
Thank you. For the record, I'd like to submit copies of the report that we prepared March 3rd, 2026. That was previously submitted as part of the record.
We'll accept those into evidence.
Thank you. As Mr. Bonesso has indicated, I'm here this afternoon to discuss the parking and traffic aspects of the proposed project. As indicated on the plans and as discussed previously by the prior witnesses, the subject property, as proposed to be developed as an office building with amenities, requires 216 parking spaces. As depicted on the plans prepared for the project, a total of 137 spaces are provided on site. As such, a parking variance for 78 parking spaces are required to construct the building. As indicated in my report, and as I've testified to here on numerous occasions, we've consulted the Institute of Transportation Engineers Parking Generation Manual, 6th edition statistics as they relate to an office building that's before the board this evening. And on page 204 of my report, we prepared an analysis utilizing those statistics to determine whether or not the 137 parking spaces that are proposed on the subject property would be sufficient to accommodate the demand.
What page on your report?
Page 2,
Oh,
204.
I thought you said 204.
204, sorry. And we utilized two different methodologies presented by the ITE. The first one would be the average rate. So it's an average of all the rates that they experienced during the preparation of the manual. And the second methodology was the 85th percentile rate, meaning that 85% of all the projects have a demand that's less than the one that they observed. So it's very conservative. As indicated on page 2, using the average rate, we would anticipate 85 vehicles parked for the subject property as proposed to be developed, and using the 85th percentile rate, it would be 129 vehicles. So using both methodologies, we would anticipate that the 137 parking spaces would be sufficient to accommodate the demand. As testified to previously by the applicant, the plans depict a total of 141 desks to be located within the 2 floors of the office of the building. As he testified, and as I think is reasonable, approximately 90% of the employees could be there at any one given time. That would translate to 127 employees. That would be the maximum that would be on the subject property. Again, the 137 parking spaces that are provided on the property would be more than sufficient to accommodate the demand.
Are the hours normal business hours?
Normal business hours.
And what about the amenities at the top?
I do not know the answer to that question.
Go ahead.
David. David? The amenities on the 4th floor, what hours would they be available to the tenants?
Regular business hours.
Regular business hours.
Okay.
Also, as discussed previously, we're asking relief from the ordinance for the percentage of small car park. I guess it would be reduced size parking spaces. I wouldn't really want to call them small cars because a lot of cars these days aren't all that huge. And with a percentage of, I guess it's 49% of the parking spaces shown as 8.5 feet.
20% of the 137.
Well, it's 49% of the 137,
I'm sorry, can you?
right? Correct.
Okay.
49%.
What percentage are of the, first of all, does it, Vinny, does it go by, is the percentage you're allowed to have the percentage, I assume it's the percentage of whatever I'm required, whatever I have, what percent of those, or do I figure out the opposite way and say, you're required 267, you're supposed to have 49, no more than 49% of those at 8.5, so you're allowed to have X at 8.5.
No more than 15%.
15%.
So do I use the required number and say 15% can be of that smaller size? So now choose that number in what you're actually providing? You understand what I'm saying? Let me get my,
No, it's the, it's the provided number. So if you're providing 100 spaces, 15 of them are allowed to be.
okay. So in this
I would
case,
tend to agree with that if
Me
you,
too, that's the way.
it makes the most sense, but
we've always calculated based on that as well.
Yeah.
So about 20 of our spaces comply with the rest requiring the variance for the lot size, the parking space size.
Correct. And based on the general nature of the use, which is an office building, and as the applicant has indicated, there's not going to be, there's a negligible quantity of visitors that would come to the site. It's going to be the employees coming in and day out. In my opinion, the 8.5-foot stalls would pose no significant impact to the parking conditions on the property. In addition, I'd like to point out the way that the architect designed the layout of the parking facilities is that the aisle widths conform to the town ordinance, the 24 feet in width, except for the main drive aisle down the middle, which is 27. So that's slightly wider. So again, lending to the fact that the reduced stall size would not create a significant impact on the operation of the facility.
okay, not to be labored, I just want to know, now that I knew how many you're allowed to have at that size, how many do you actually have at that size?
So if we were to look at 49% of 137 is 67 spots.
So 67 are substandard size, okay.
And then 70 would be, of the 137 would be conforming to the ordinance. Now that the spaces are spread out throughout the property, that they're not all concentrated in one area.
So 70 of the spots are 18 by 9.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
And that's the 51%. So, as indicated in my report, the next thing that we did was we tried to determine what the relative traffic impact of the development of the property would be. We performed traffic counts in accordance with recognized standards and procedures, estimated the quantity of traffic generated by the subject property, again, utilizing the Institute of Transportation Engineers trip generation statistics to do that. And then utilizing a recognized modeling software, we performed essentially a before and after analysis to determine if there would be any relative impacts due to the fact that we're introducing new traffic to the area. Now, as Mr. Bonesso and I discussed earlier this afternoon, 114 desks are currently being utilized by the applicant in various different structures within the subject area. So essentially, really, all we're really doing is redistributing those employees to this facility. I mean, they're here, but we're redistributing. But our analysis assumed that they would be totally newly generated, and whatever activity by those employees that currently exists is where it is, and we're not taking any credits or discounts for that, because that wouldn't really be very difficult to do that, to track people as to where they came from. Sure.
So, there's 141 desks, right?
Right.
And let's say, given the benefit of doubt, let's say 90 people show up there a day out of the 141. Somebody's away, somebody's traveling.
Sure.
Is there enough parking spaces on the grounds to cover that?
Yes.
Without them parking, because there's no space in the street really. It's pretty overcrowded, that area. There's a post office across the street. There's,
Yeah.
they got all the other things there. So in other words, you're saying that if there's 90 people come to work, there's enough spaces.
Absolutely, more than enough.
That's what I want. That's what I wanted to know as far as parking. Thank
Yes, more than enough. Yeah. And again, our analysis shows that the traffic generated by this office building will not create any undue traffic congestion or hazarded in and around the subject property, and that the driveways as designed by the architect will function properly. One thing I would like to point out, and it's listed on page 2 of 4 of my report, and I think the board is fully aware of this, is that the subject property is located approximately a quarter mile away from the Woodmere Long Island Railroad Station, which is located to the northeast. So it would be essentially some employees could utilize the railroad to come here and not have a car. And there's a bus, that's correct. So, I mean, this could be considered to be a transit-oriented development where we could anticipate people to come by the railroad. However, our analysis didn't utilize those statistics because we wanted to be conservative. So therefore, we discounted that fact. But it is, right now I know people who travel via railroad to go to their various places of business, specifically in the city. But in this case, there is the Woodmere Station is located a quarter mile away. It's a short walk. They wouldn't need a vehicle to come to and from the subject property.
Mr. Mueller, I have a stupid question. If we assume 90 people coming to work, which I think is reasonable, right? How does it, I know these are the ITEs and stuff, how do we end up with 54 trips coming in the AM commuter peak period?
That's that's the peak hour. So that would be the peak of the peak hour. So, but not everybody arrives.
So it's assuming 90 people are coming, but some come at 7 to 8, some come at 8 to 9, some come 9 to 10?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's the way my office functions. Not everybody gets there at.
Yeah, I didn't realize the peak period was just the 1 hour.
It's that 1 hour. Yeah, since we synthesize it down to the 1 hour and then analyze that. So not everybody would be there at the same time. However, the parking generation statistics, that is the peak time.
No, but actually, this says the AM commuter period is 7 to 9, and when it gets to the PM commuter, it says 4 to 6, and then it says peak periods. So
Well,
that's 2 hours.
Well, that's what we count. When we perform the traffic studies themselves.
Oh, so for the count, you use the 2 hours, but for the ITE, you use a 1?
Correct. And what we do is during for instance, the 7 to 9 period, we count the traffic in that area for 2 hours and then take the peak hour within that 2 hour block. And it could vary. It could be 7:30 to 8:30. It could be, and then superimpose the peak hour traffic onto that one peak hour to create an extremely conservative situation.
Okay.
Now, there could be employees that come at 11 o'clock and then they don't,
Right.
They come later or whatever. So that's kind of.
Yeah, I just assumed the AM peak, even when you applied the ITE, was more than 1 hour. But okay, I understand.
But it's just that 1 hour within that 2 hour block that we count.
I understand.
So therefore, based on the analyses that we've prepared, it is my professional opinion that there'll be more than sufficient parking provided on the property to accommodate the anticipated demands by the proposed office use, and that the traffic generated by the office building will not create any undue traffic congestion or hazard, and we don't anticipate any issues at the driveways. If you have any further questions, I'd be more than happy.
Only, I know it's not a place where people are going to come for services, mostly just office. Is there any customer flow? Anyone? Because with 137 spots and 141 employees, you basically got a spot for everyone.
No, correct. Mr. Steinberg said earlier that this is really strictly for employees. They don't have families coming here being introduced to their healthcare facilities elsewhere. Yeah. It's strictly for the administrative staff.
Ms. Nelson, you said before that they're moving from scattered buildings that they rent in Woodmere to here. Where in Woodmere are they? These scattered buildings, are they on Broadway? Are they,
Well, the applicant.
In other words, you said it didn't affect the traffic, basically, because they're in the same area. What area are they in?
Yeah, they're all on Broadway. On Broadway, 107 Broadway, and a couple. I don't have the exact addresses.
Is it in Woodmere town or?
It's right around the corner from the building.
In other words, it's between Irving Place and Franklin.
Correct.
So it's right there.
Right there.
So all 114 desks are between Irving Place and Woodmere, or are they?
A little past Irving Place as well. Not a little past Franklin.
Like towards Hewlett, you mean?
I don't know, the other way from Irving. So towards the self-storage facility or the library, that way. Yes, on that block, there's the block of, that we're on, 107 Broadway, it's a corner, that's the corner that's in between Irving and Franklin.
So in other words, it won't affect the traffic on Broadway because you're already there, but it might
Correct.
affect the traffic on Franklin Place because they're all coming up that way.
Well, it depends where the employees currently are coming from. A lot of them are coming,
Curious, like when you said the area, okay.
we're right around the corner right now, yeah.
Thank you.
But again, our analysis indicates that there would be no significant impact, assuming that the operation at this building, not taking any credits or discounts for people who are already there. Gotcha. Any other questions for me?
Anyone else? Okay, no, not at this
Thank you,
time,
Mr.
Mr. Muller.
Muller.
Thank you.
Just in closing, I have some letters of support, including from the Esplanade of Woodmere, adjacent to our property in the rear. And then in addition to that, the Shulameth School, which is located on Railroad Avenue, or excuse me, Island and Railroad, and but also owns the property adjacent to the Esplanade. We have two other letters of support from people on Irving, and then we also have a letter from the Woodmere Fire District indicating that they would welcome the project as our client has offered to permit the fire district to utilize the building should it be built for training and firefighting practices.
Practices meaning?
Meaning
Not-
addressing.
It's like school, classroom stuff.
No. It would be for training purposes. It says, it's very rare that fire department has offered a commercial structure to train on. The size and nature of the structure will allow us to train multiple times in several different scenarios. The training will allow us to better serve you in your future construction and the surrounding community members should an emergency arise and our response is required.
Mean like scaling the building and stuff?
I can explain. The fire department asked us if before we demo the existing building, if they could use it for training.
Oh, okay.
So before we demo it, they'll probably make some fires there and have some fake emergencies or whatever it is, and we've given them permission to do that.
Okay.
Last thing is the Nassau County Planning Commission recommended local determination for this project. So that's our direct presentation. I know the neighbor's attorney, Mr. Liebson, is here and he's been waiting patiently to provide his statement on the record.
Yeah, I was going to go, if you're finished calling people. It looks like there are, let me just see who's who. Okay. One individual interested, and then we have, yeah, I'm just got to find him. Oh, here he is. I just want to get, and we have 3 people signed in opposed. So Mr. Liebson, you want to come up and tell me who you represent?
Good afternoon. My name is Alex Leach from Abrams Fensterman. I represent the Franklin Tower.
Shh, 1 second. Who do you represent?
I represent the Franklin Tower Condo Association, the owners of the property that abut the northern boundary of the property 121 Franklin Place. They're at 141 Franklin Place.
Okay, so you do not represent Pamela Rossman or Philip Voulet?
Not.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. It's nice to be here again. I had planned on submitting formal opposition to this application. However, this morning prior to the hearing, the principals or set 2 of the principals of the entities of the owners of the property got together and they discussed the issues that they had with personally between the 2 buildings and for the community at large. And it seems like we've come to a resolution of our objections to the development of the property. We just need time to memorialize our resolution between the 2 owners of the property, and we'd ask that you keep the public hearing open for that sole purpose.
For the owners of this, who are here today, the applicants.
141 Franklin Place and 121 Franklin Place to memorialize their resolutions. And to the extent that that falls apart, and I have full confidence that it will resolve, but to the extent it falls apart, that we can resubmit our opposition and give the 121 Franklin Place a chance to.
Okay, so we can definitely hold the record open, but, and also, obviously, I'm sure you understand that whatever is submitted is something the board will consider along with everything else it has in terms of its deliberation. We wouldn't be bound by it, but definitely, we are definitely in favor of that, and we'll certainly give it a fair amount of weight in our deliberations. That being said, I just want to make sure I understand what you want to do. No problem keeping it open for you to submit whatever you come up with. And if that ends up not working out in terms of a deal, then Mr. Vanessa, would you have any objection to him submitting in writing something? But I think we need just the one deadline in terms of what you submit. So like, we'll set a deadline, and either what comes in from your side is the deal that you both have signed off on in terms of what you guys agree to for our consideration, or whatever you wanted to put in writing. I don't want to have that happen and then it doesn't work out and then we have to have another period of submissions.
I appreciate that, and I'm happy to take a suggestion for the board on what that deadline would be.
Ms. Vanessa, what are your thoughts? I'll get to you. Is 30 days enough?
More than sufficient, I think.
You'd like to reply?
Yes. I was going to put on the record that Mr. Liebson's statement, we discussed it beforehand. I'm in full agreement with everything he's indicated. If we do not have an agreement, as it turns out, we believe we do, but if for some reason we do not, then he will be permitted to put in the opposition documentation that he was going to put in today. And we would simply ask the opportunity to reply to it because we haven't seen it. It was apparently just delivered today. So we would just look for the opportunity to reply to it. And I think we can assign a total of 30 days for that, which would be more than sufficient.
Okay.
So if his objections within 30 days and mine within 15 from that.
Okay. And then so that would be part of our consideration, but we have other folks who you don't represent, right? You don't represent the other two people in opposition here. So you speak for just the, you speak for just the people in that one building, right?
Right. Franklin
Okay.
Tower Condo Association, located at 141 Franklin Place, just north of the building.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so 30 days from, and the submissions will relate solely to that potential agreement or that group's opposition to the project. And then what do you need for a reply?
15 days.
15 after that. So what are those dates?
Could you tell us, if you know now, what a broad reason,
not
what
too
your objections are, what you're going to try to consent to?
They really have to, if I may, they really have to do with the construction of our building and providing assurances and security to Mr. Liebson's client that his building will not be negatively affected, nor will the operation of their dental practices and medical practices be affected.
So that of course is part of it. That's
Yes, 30
more
no
the
further
building to building issue. As
And then
a
Mr. Vanessa will be.
citizen of the community, we had
On the
objections
20th.
at large to what the building could do to the community. Most of which have been discussed here today already, and we would join in on those objections to the extent that that's necessary.
Wait, I'm wrong.
If we cannot come to a
22,
resolution
23,
on the
22.
on the agreement, the terms that the principals have discussed already.
Which is what Mr. Vanessa just stated, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do your submission and with signatures or with that. Your submission will be on 9/7, whether that's the signed agreement between the parties or your opposition. And again, limited to, I guess in the case of yours, the opposition that you just discussed, yours, the 22nd. That work? Okay.
Very good.
Okay,
I appreciate that. Thank you, Board.
thank you. Okay, so there are two other individuals who signed in opposition, and there's one more interested, but I'm not sure if it's one of your people, because I can't really read it. Maybe Leonard Schiffman? Is that,
Oh, that's Mr. Leibson's client.
He's
okay, great.
the principal at.
I got you. Okay, great. So then we're just down to the two people. So we'll go with Pamela Rossman. If you want to come up to the podium. Woodmere Boulevard. Different last names. No.
Pamela Rossman, Woodmere Boulevard, Woodmere, New York, 11598.
What was your address on Woodmere Boulevard?
14 Woodmere Boulevard, Woodmere.
14.
I am not an attorney, and I'm coming before this board. Can you hear me?
Not that too well.
I am not an attorney, and I am coming before this board to respectfully request that this board deny any deviation from the town code with regard to this particular property. I did not expect to be here today, but I was listening to the live stream, and I heard comments about the Five Towns premiere, about the Esplanade. I would urge every member of this board to visit this particular site by using that as a comparison and asking, or the developers being able to create Manhattan in Woodmere. The residents of our community do not want Manhattan in Woodmere. We want to preserve the character of our community, and we've elected our officials to be able to assist in preserving the quality of our community, and also, of course, to have any future development be within the town code without deviation. The community of Woodmere is already overloaded with health-related facilities. We have the Esplanade, we have the Premier. We have ambulances that sirens are blaring day and night, senior transport vehicles clogging our streets. Franklin Place is a location directly across from this property of the United States Post Office in Woodmere, New York. This is a very busy post office. The parking lot is a nightmare. It's insufficient for the amount of vehicular traffic. I walk to the post office because I've given up trying to find a place to park or deal with the clogged streets. Additionally, adjacent to the post office is the nursery and gardening center. So the street is very often blocked by large gardeners' vehicles who are loading and offloading shrubs, trees, etc. As was mentioned, the former facility next to the Long Island Railroad used to be a gym. Now it's the Shalometh School for Girls. And we have school buses, we have parental pickups, we have after-school activities, and we have large groups of youngsters on that street. The traffic is creating a very dangerous situation. And this project, one more car, one more parking space, will absolutely exacerbate an already dangerous situation and make it an insurmountable obstacle for individuals who are trying to be able to get through the activities of daily living. Further, the character of the community is being impacted negatively. I walk these streets on a daily basis, and across from the railroad is a major shopping center. So we have a lot of vehicular traffic. And using this property and giving it the example of being a dilapidated building that the developers are seeking to improve, that's fine. We want to have a beautiful structure. But please, with all due respect, ask the developers, require them to stay within the confines of the town code. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Philip, I hope I'm saying this right, Boulier. Boulier. Oh, there you are.
That's correct. May we? Philip Boulier, and my major objection is 14 Woodmere Boulevard South.
14 what?
Woodmere Boulevard South.
Thank you.
My objection to this proposal is not, I think it's a beautiful building. I think they've done a wonderful job trying to consider things, but I almost refuse, I will some days, drive down Broadway Avenue. Broadway Avenue at 5 o'clock in the afternoon is chaos. I don't know how you exist with that and that you keep people alive. You cannot open a car door without being at risk. You cannot take a bicycle down that street. I don't know what the solution to that traffic problem is, but this project will certainly contribute to that. And that's major concern is the impact on the community, impact on the traffic. And so in that regard, that's,
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Vanessa, you want to sum up?
Thank you. Very briefly, and I appreciate the board's time this afternoon. The comments that we heard, I think there may be some confusion. There was a concern about the area being overloaded with health-related facilities. This will not be a health-related facility. This will be an office building for a sole purpose or single-use occupancy building for administrative offices for a business. It's not going to be a health-related facility. The assertion that developing this site that will generate one more car and one more need for a parking space, whatever happens, if this application is denied, something is going to go in this location. And even if it is a compliant building, it's going to put more cars on the street. It's going to require parking, and it may come in and ask for no parking variance, or it may come in and ask for a parking variance. The bottom line here is the expert testimony establishes that even with this building, and it is a building of size, no argument from me in that regard, particularly Mr. Plummer's comments. This is a tall building. It is more than, when I first had my conversations with the client, I said 4 stories, and this height is relatively extreme from the standpoint of the code, certainly. But as we've heard the testimony from an impact perspective, we think that those concerns are mitigated. But we understand this is a large building, but it's also I think, significant opportunity to put a absolutely beautiful building in this location, which will serve a purpose that is, or serve an entity, this company that is already in the area. And we just heard about Broadway congestion. All their activity is on Broadway presently. So moving to Franklin may be a benefit, in fact. But be that as it may, they're already in the community. So this is a very unique opportunity to put a really beautiful building where a lot of thought has gone into the design. Yes, it's tall. Yes, it's 4 stories. But based upon its use and occupancy, we certainly think it would be something that'll work well in the community and be a real fine addition to the community, and will have people present in the area who can utilize the services and goods also in the area.
May I ask, Mr. Mueller? So the end result here is the office wants 2 levels of office space.
Correct.
And they like to have the amenities for the employees above. So if they were to come before us instead and ask to eliminate the first above ground floor parking, they would still have their offices, right? And they'd still have the same number of people in their offices, but they'd have half the available parking. Would that be a worse scenario for the community?
Yes.
I mean, I think that's what it boils down here. They can have their 2 levels of office space and put in the 141 employees. We add the second level of parking to give them a place to put the cars. If we didn't do that, they could probably figure out a way to design this building to still have those offices and just have half the parking. Now, they would need a variance for it, but still,
Well,
I don't know. I just think, I don't know. Okay, I just wanted to
Yeah.
get from you, it seems to me it would be a worse scenario,
it would be.
but, and especially in terms of the fact that the major concern of the people who are concerned about it is in fact the traffic and parking. Seemingly less so than the size. Not to say it's nothing, but it seems like the traffic and parking are the bigger concerns.
And it's fair to say that our fourth floor and the parking that we're required to provide for it as public assembly space, one space per every 150 square feet, is what is pushing us over into a very large parking variance, the difference between the 137 and the 267. If that wasn't amenity space, if it wasn't there for the benefit of the tenants, it would be basically almost a wash in terms of the parking demand versus the parking provided.
If you got rid of the amenities and the first floor parking, you still have the same number of people coming to work every day.
Basically,
And
yeah.
you'd have half the parking available for them.
Right.
And need very little relief from this board, maybe parking.
We would need a parking
That's
variance
all.
likely, but
I
not
doubt you'd need-
as
What
large.
that number would be?
Pardon?
Any idea what that number would be?
Don't know.
The demand would be just minus the amenities. I mean, the requirement.
Yeah, whatever the parking.
But you
whatever
still have the
parking-
same amount of desks, so you can think of it that way.
It's based on square foot.
Yeah, it's based on.
Mr. Vaness, in my opinion, it's the fourth floor, like everything else might be, it doesn't belong in the neighborhood. That's, Mrs. D'Amato has her opinions, and that's my main problem,
I
because
certainly
once you
recognize and respect
do yours there, then they'll start doing everything all the way to the railroad tracks.
I'm sorry,
that-
I don't,
to that I
no
would
one knows
say,
what my
Mr.
opinion
If I
is.
may.
I'm just pointing out.
To that, I would say, no, to that, I would simply say, this is such a unique building. I think the board could easily distinguish this building from a future application coming in for 4 stories that wouldn't work, because there aren't, this is a very unique building. So I totally get where you're coming from, Mr. Plumer. But I think this use can be distinguished, this building and its design can be distinguished to support a grant of even the 4 stories. But certainly that's one man's opinion. And that's our direct presentation. We thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions from the board? If not, is there a motion? Joe?
I move that.
Motion, the hearing be closed, and the case be put on the decision calendar. All parties will be notified by mail of our decision when rendered.
Second? All in favor? All right, folks, have a nice day.
I started talking at the same time you did.
That was a good point.
Oh, yeah, that's,
Shall we begin?
Okay, so let's start with case 416 of 2026. This is the application of Alicia Wright affecting the property at 22 3rd Street in Elmont. It's a request for a height variance, lot area occupied, front yard setbacks, and to construct a second-story addition and portico attached to the dwelling, and demolish the existing stoop. Is there any discussion of this case? If not, is there a motion?
I think we should wait for Mr. Regano.
Yeah, I think we should hold it.
I would deny it. I'd like to deny it now.
Do you want to make a motion?
Yes. Does everybody agree with me?
Kim?
Yep. Okay. I make a motion on case 416 of 26 Elmont, Alicia Wright's variances, height, lot occupied, be denied.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, case number 417 of 2026. The applicant is West Hempstead Fire District. The property is located at 295 Hempstead Turnpike in West Hempstead. We need to address the issue of a CEQA determination and the underlying case. Is there any discussion? Mm-hmm.
What do you let Joe do? Because Joe knows secret by heart.
I do?
Okay.
Sorry, we were, case 417?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so as far as secra, I move that we adopt a negative declaration. What?
Shh, just go ahead.
To the secret determination based on the testimony given, exhibits in the file, and other materials we have reviewed and analyzed.
Second? All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
And to the underlying matter?
And then for the actual case, 417 of 26, West Hempstead, located at 295 Hempstead Turnpike, I make a motion to approve the request.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Case 418 through 421 of 2026. The applicant is MCBB Restaurant Group Corp. The property is located at 1891 through 1895 of Wantagh Avenue in Wantagh. This is the Irish Poet Restaurant and Bar. Request to use part of the premises for outdoor dining, to expand into the adjacent property, to maintain an awning with a retractable roof attached to the building, and to maintain an 8-foot masonry wall. We need a CEQA determination as to this case. Is there any discussion? And if not, is there a motion?
I make a motion on cases 418, 419, and 421. I move that we adopt a negative declaration as to the CEQA determination based on the testimony given, exhibits in the file, and other materials we have reviewed and analyzed.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
As to the motions on 418, 419, 420, and 421, Wantagh MCB Restaurant Group, variances off-street parking, special exemption to use part of premises for outdoor dining, variance rear yard, maintain awning, retractable roof, located at 1891-1895 Wantagh Avenue, be granted as requested.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Case 422 of 2026. The applicant is BX Management LLC and BX 1833 Sunrise LLC, doing business as South Shore Mitsubishi. This request is for a special exception to use part of the premises for the sale and display of automobiles. Special exception to display the automobiles in the front yard setback on Sunrise, and a special exception to park in the front yard setback on Sunrise. They also need relief to waive the off-street parking. The request is solely for 6 spots as delineated on the site plan as to relates to the display, and the applicant has no intention of applying to add a curb cut onto Sunrise Highway, as the only curb cut is on Lansdowne Avenue where it should be. So it is important that the record reflect that it's only the 6 spots, no more, and the Sunrise ingress egress will not be applied for, Ms. Christine, okay? Okay, any other discussion?
regarding case number 42226, PX Management. There's a secret resolution that needs to be adopted. I move that, based upon the information and testimony that's given at the hearing and documents that we analyzed.
Second? All in favor? Next,
Next,
underlying case.
I move that case number 422, that the case be granted with the with the conditions that were laid out at the testimony.
Second? And they're not, the last case is a case, that's the case 121 Franklin Partners LLC. I think we should hold that till we have a full contingent and to allow anyone who hasn't looked at it to look at it if they so choose.
We have to wait for.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
but we got to put it
that's
on
right.
reserve.
Yeah, it's going to remain open for,
So,
well, so it's going to be open for 30 days for the opposition to submit their opposition in the event that there's no resolution between the opposition and the applicant. And then an additional 15 days for a reply. So by September 7th, we should know whether or not.
yeah, because
Close
we
it or
don't
not.
need the 15 if they just
Correct.
submit
So it's
the,
got to stay open until.
yeah, and we'll just put it on reserve. Yeah,
It'll be on the reserve calendar, correct, because it's technically not.
No resolution. We reopen the case.
it does, well, no, we're gonna,
It's
their
not closed.
Their agreement is solely for us to take under advisement.
Correct, because their agreement doesn't really pertain to the area variances. If you think about it, our consideration, community opposition is not the end-all be-all. We can consider it.
Right.
Yeah, there are other people.
Yeah.
But he also said that he agreed with the other, like basically with what I said, and whoever else said things that were questioning the fourth story, the contour of the neighborhood.
Correct, but I think that we keep, the record's gonna remain open for the
Solely
limited
for
and
that, yeah.
sole purpose for the potential receipt of opposition and the ability to reply.
And or their
Well, correct.
agreement.
We'll know in 30 days. They
That's
either
right.
agree or they submit.
Yes, of
And then
course.
we'll go from there. Okay? Yes.
Could we ask the building department to calculate the parking required without that fourth floor?
Without
public
the
assembly?
amenities.
Yes.
I'm sure we can.
Would you do that? Either one of you guys with users? Well, she made it.
Because it would just be the square footage then. It would lob that off.
Which is 200. No, I meant.
I don't know.
No,
What if it was sterilized just as a roof?
we're still,
That's what I mean, like, that's not broken down.
I don't know.
They usually do.
they sometimes do it floor by floor with the occupancy.
But if it was a roof? If it's a roof, it's.
Go ahead,
Yes,
Mr. Patrick.
Yeah.
Let's go to the reserve calendar.
I had updated plans for that sign. Okay. That sign in Belmore.
Oh, the Dove sign?
Can we look at the picture of where it is also? Isn't there a picture in the file?
I didn't bring these. I can show you.
Case 345 of 26.
This is it.
That's where it is.
Okay. So this was.
I just felt like when I saw it, where the rendering, where it was.
This is the original.
So it wasn't just the size, it was the location as well.
That's my recollection, but that's what I wanted to look at. I don't know.
So this is my question. Thank you for that.
He doesn't have a number for the underneath.
Yes, it does.
Is that 7 1/4?
7.
I mean, I like the clearance.
7 foot clearance. It's right here.
Okay.
And it's on this corner. Do we have, we have this. Oh, good, you're gonna look it up there?
Bye.
See,
Bye, everyone.
yeah,
See you next
try
time.
to behave yourself.
Spider-Man.
Oh, tonight? Did you see it yet?
I did, saw Monday.
My husband's gonna.
Dennis saw it, he said it was pretty good.
I heard it was great.
Yes.
But I'll wait for TV, because we can't, the 3-year-old's a little too young for it. It's 2.5 hours and like a probably.
This is what, 18 feet?
I heard it was awesome. Chandler said it
What's
was
it about?
the Odyssey.
Like Homer's.
Oh,
Odyssey.
Homer's
Yeah,
Odyssey.
yeah, yeah.
You're like Odyssey, I'm thinking it's another, you know what I'm thinking? Oh, it's another Marvel
Sure.
set
Like
I don't
Future.
know of, yeah.
How does this relate to the one that I sent you, the one we
He's
granted
looking
down
it
the
up.
block?
I'm not.
It's okay there.
I move that we adjourn, close the hearing and adjourn to August 19th.
Second. Second.
Second?
Anyone second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.